On Ethereum alone, in the last 24 hours, approximately 1,198 Ethereum has been extracted due to Sandwich MEV attacks. But what is a Sandwich MEV attack? A mineable extractor value attack is a specific type of exploit that takes advantage of how orders are executed on a decentralized exchange or other blockchain-based trading platform. They exist because transactions are first sent to the mempool, which is the waiting area for transactions that haven't yet been put into a block. To understand a Sandwich MEV attack, let's first explain MEV and a DEX, and then we'll explain how the attack works with an example. So make sure you watch this video right till the very end so you fully understand. MEV, or mineable extractor value, represents the potential profits that miners can extract from the order execution by manipulating the transaction ordering in a block. Miners have the ability to include, exclude, or reorder transactions in a block in which they are mining. Decentralized exchanges, DEXs, are platforms that allow users, you and I, to trade cryptocurrencies directly with each other without relying on intermediaries or centralized entities. Operating on blockchain networks, these use smart contracts to facilitate trades. So what happens is an attacker will keep an eye on this mempool and look for transactions which they can exploit. For example, if you or I set too high slippage for a transaction, the attacker could set higher gas fees and a miner tip for their first transaction than what we have set in our transaction. And this will make the transaction accepted earlier by the block miners. In other words, the victim's transaction is going to be front run. Then the attacker would send another transaction with equal or lower gas fees to make sure this transaction is accepted later by the miner than the victim's transaction. This means that the transaction will be squeezed or sandwiched by the attacker's transaction. Now, before we look at an example, if you do enjoy learning about Web3 and blockchain, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss both educational content and alphas. And if you're still watching this video now, smash that like button to help feed the YouTube algorithm. So here's how an attacker would profit from a sandwich attack. Let's say that I want to swap Ethereum for USDT. So I send a transaction to swap 100 Ethereum when the exchange rate is $2,000 per ETH. So I expect to get $200,000 from my Ethereum. An attacker sees my transaction and decides to swap 65 ETH and pay a higher gas fee and a miner tip, so his transaction gets processed first. For his 65 ETH, he gets $130,000. This transaction changes the exchange rate to 1,900 per Ethereum. So instead of me getting 200,000, I only get 190,000. I lose 10k. The attacker then sends a second transaction, selling his 130,000 USDT for ETH, and in return he gets 68.4 ETH, making a profit of 3.4 ETH, minus any fees that he may have paid. Not bad for very little work. To reduce the impact of Sandwich MEV attacks, DEXs and blockchain platforms have been actively working on countermeasures, and these countermeasures include transaction sequencing algorithms, fee market improvement, and research on decentralized mechanisms to distribute and neutralize MEVs. But just moving on a little from sandwich attacks, most people watching this channel want to profit in crypto. If you're one of them, there are some crucial mistakes that you have to avoid, but I've made a separate video on that, so you can click on the screen now to find out more.